Explosions were reported in areas such as Bandar Abbas, Sirik, Chesham, and other coastal locations in Iran. These strikes are part of a broader American campaign, which has already destroyed more than 300 Iranian targets since July 7th. The main goal, of course, is to drastically reduce Iran's ability to threaten or attack ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz. The targets chosen by the United States include air defense systems, coastal radars, missile and drone facilities and storage, small vessels of the Revolutionary Guard, and command and control points. By neutralizing these capabilities, the Americans aim to prevent Iran from continuing to use the Strait as a tool of pressure and intimidation against international commercial shipping. The Strait of Hormuz is the most important maritime passage on the planet for oil. Any disruption or constant threat there directly affects the global energy supply. The recent attacks aim exactly at that, to take away Iran's ability to project power over this strategic route and to force a change in Tehran's behavior. The measure is, of course, selective. Only Iranian vessels, or those operating on behalf of Iran, are now prevented from transiting freely. Ships from other nations can continue to pass, but now they are subject to a toll fee equivalent to about 20% of the value of the cargo being transported. The stated goal is to cover the costs of security and maintaining order in the region. This decision represents a practical and economic escalation. The blockade limits Iranian naval movement, puts pressure on the country's economy, and asserts American control over the flow of traffic. During the previous ceasefire period, the American Navy was already maintaining an active presence to contain Iranian hostilities. Now, with the blockade formally reinstated, the pressure on Tehran increases in a direct and sustained way. And then last night, Trump confirmed an important measure that changed the current situation. In a message to Congress, Trump describes the current military actions, which began on July 7, as consistent with my responsibility to protect Americans and American interests, both at home and abroad. The notification also states that American forces remain positioned to take action, if necessary, until the Iranian government ceases to pose a threat. This formal letter restarts the legal 60-day clock for military operations without additional authorization from Congress. Earlier, in May, Trump had already notified the end of hostilities after the April ceasefire, which had paused this deadline. With the return of the fighting, a new notification became necessary to maintain legal compliance and allow the continuation of operations. If you want to watch this full video and have access to other exclusive content for members, become a channel member by simply clicking this Join button. This law requires the President to inform Congress within 48 hours after the start of hostilities, and that American forces be withdrawn after 60 days unless Congress explicitly approves the continuation for 30 more days. Trump's notification fulfills exactly this reporting requirement and triggers the limited executive action period again. There is, of course, a major difference between this notification and an official declaration of war. The notification is a mechanism provided for in the 1973 War Powers Resolution to regulate limited time-bound actions by the President. A declaration of war, on the other hand, is an exclusive prerogative of Congress as provided for in the U.S. Constitution. A formal declaration establishes a permanent state of war, grants the President broader powers to mobilize national resources, authorizes large-scale operations, and clearly defines the legal and political framework of the conflict. Trump chose notification because it allows for immediate operational flexibility, complies with the law without depending on prior congressional approval, and avoids the longer and more politically complex process of a formal declaration. At the same time, it demonstrates transparency with the legislative branch and reinforces the American position that the actions are defensive and proportional to ongoing threats. In the narrow strait, it is. The attacks in the last hours and days aim to degrade the capabilities that Iran used to attack commercial ships and also to impose its will over the strait. The American blockade reinforces this effort by physically restricting Iranian movement. The notification to Congress ensures that these operations can continue within legal parameters for more than 60 days. However, Congress has already shown division. In June, both the House and the Senate passed resolutions calling for an end to hostilities without explicit authorization. These votes were mostly symbolic, but they reflect the internal tension over the limits of executive power in matters of war. From a military standpoint, this American strategy focuses on high-value targets that support Iran's ability to threaten navigation. By targeting air defenses, radars, anti-ship missiles, and small craft, the United States then reduces Iran's room for maneuver in the region. Therefore, this blockade complements all these military issues by creating an economic and operational barrier. Become a member to watch this full video and receive exclusive member content. Just click this button to become a member. Now, I want to know your opinion. Should the conflict in Iran go beyond the legal 60-day period for President Trump to end the conflict? Subscribe to the channel here and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos.